In 1903, a worker digging in southern England found something that shouldn't have been there, not just bones, but a discovery that would quietly challenge everything we thought we knew about our own past. At first, it didn't seem important, just another skeleton, just another fragment of history buried in the ground, but it wasn't. And no one realized that yet. For years, the remains sat in storage, forgotten, ignored. Until more than a century later, scientists decided to ask a simple question. What did this man actually look like? It sounds like an easy question, but the answer would turn out to be deeply unsettling. Because when researchers finally extracted DNA from one of his teeth, they discovered something no one expected. This ancient man, who lived in what is now England around 10,000 years ago, had dark skin, dark hair, and striking blue eyes. Let that sink in. An ancient European, with features that don't match the image most people have in their minds. But here's where it gets even more surprising. He wasn't unique. Other ancient remains across Europe began telling the same story. The first Europeans did not look the way we imagine them today. So, what changed? How did entire populations transform their appearance over time? To understand that, we need to go much further back, long before Europe, long before cities, before agriculture, before history as we know it. Around 300,000 years ago, the first Homo, Sapiens, appeared in Africa. And at that time, there was one thing all humans had in common: dark skin. This wasn't random, it wasn't cosmetic, it was survival. Because under the intense African sun, something invisible was happening inside the human body. Ultraviolet radiation was penetrating the skin, damaging DNA, breaking down something essential for life, a vital nutrient called folate. And when folate levels dropped, something devastating happened. Pregnancies failed, babies didn't survive, entire genetic lines ended before they even had the chance to begin. So, over thousands of generations, the human body adapted. It developed a defense, melanin, a natural shield. The more melanin, the greater the protection. Dark skin wasn't just a trait, it was a life-saving mechanism. But then, humans began to move. They left Africa, slowly, gradually, generation after generation. They spread into the Middle East, into Asia, into Europe. And as they moved farther from the equator, the problem changed. It flipped completely. Now, there wasn't too much sunlight, there wasn't enough, and that created a new danger, because the human body depends on sunlight to produce vitamin D, and without it, bones weaken, the immune system struggles, the body begins to fail. And here's the twist. The same melanin that once protected human life now became a barrier, blocking the little sunlight that was available. So, once again, evolution responded. Individuals with slightly lighter skin could absorb more sunlight, produce more vitamin D, survive more easily, have children, pass on their genes, and over thousands of years, populations began to change, skin tones shifted, not because one was better, not because one was superior, but because each one was solving a different problem. But here's something most people don't realize. This transformation is relatively recent. Even after humans arrived in Europe, many populations remained dark-skinned for thousands of years. So, what finally accelerated the change? The answer lies in one of the biggest turning points in human history: agriculture. Around 9,000 years ago, farming populations began moving from the Middle East into Europe. And they didn't just bring crops, they brought new genes, new adaptations, new ways of living. As diets changed, as lifestyles changed, genetic variations linked to lighter skin began to spread, slowly, quietly, generation after generation, until the image we recognize today started to emerge. But evolution doesn't follow just one path, and this is where things get even more fascinating. In Asia, populations also developed lighter skin, but through completely different genetic changes, different paths, leading to similar results. A phenomenon scientists call convergent evolution, different solutions to the same problem, And then there are exceptions, places that break the pattern completely. Take the indigenous peoples of the Arctic. They live in regions with extremely low sunlight. By simple logic, they should have very light skin, but they don't. Why? Because evolution found another solution. Their traditional diet, rich in fish and marine animals, provided large amounts of vitamin D, so their bodies didn't need to rely on sunlight in the same way, which means there was less pressure to change skin color. And this reveals something deeper. Skin color is not controlled by a single factor. It's the result of multiple forces acting together. Sunlight, geography, diet, migration, time, and adaptation. For a long time, people tried to use visible differences between humans, to divide, to categorize, to create hierarchies. But modern science tells a completely different story. We are not separate groups. We are one species, deeply connected, shaped by the same process, responding to different environments. Skin color is not a marker of value or intelligence or ability. It's a record, a living record, of where your ancestors survived, of the challenges they faced, of the environments that shaped them. That ancient skeleton found in 1903, quietly waiting underground for thousands of years, revealed something profound. The past is not what we imagined, and neither are we. Because something is visible, as something we think is permanent, like skin color, is actually the result of constant change, adaptation, transformation, which leads to a strange question. If something so obvious about us is shaped by forces we rarely think about, what else about who we are is still changing right now? And more importantly, what else have we never stopped to question? After all, why?